had a strong guiding influence. We'll call him the visionary, daddy, the architect or the developer or whoever. This idea that you could go from there to there to there to there to there to there to there got a little complicated by the way information technologies have evolved. It is true now that, first of all, we have different expectations. We have Facebook, we have social networking, we have a lot of choices at the grocery store, among other things, but Amazon will suggest to you things that they know you will like, okay? We've come to expect that we're going to get what we want. The other thing is that architectural software has rendered blueprints and architectural presentations completely obsolete. There's no point. I haven't made an architectural presentation to anybody in a dozen years. And why? Because the way I work, which actually posts images of the unfolding design to the internet constantly, along with drawings and 3D models that my clients can download and fly around in, by the time they've seen that, when they come to a meeting, they don't want to see blueprints, really. They actually want to work on the project. And so it puts them on a level playing field, and I think more and more architects are in the situation where they don't have a choice, but they have to do this because the clients demand it, all right? So that means that you can be in the programming stage and you can go here with a design, right? But somebody who's on the design team now, because the one thing they're paying money for it, are going to say, you know, I think I've got a better idea. And I think that actually the design idea that you came up with, I don't think it matches what we said. Not only that, but what we said was a little wrong because, you know, I didn't say it right either. I didn't communicate that. So at every stage in this, you've got people, you know, going like this, you know, even to the money stage. Well, we're going to reprice it. Okay, let's go back to the documents. What do we need to change in the documents? Well, it was the design problem, and you know what? We should have thought more about that. So you end up with this, it's kind of like a spiral. The closer you get to the building, the fewer questions are outstanding because it's been worked over so much. But they're all open, and they all remain open the whole time. In fact, you know, you don't do programming and then stop because you've got the recipe, and you do design to answer those questions, and then you make drawings to sort of flesh out the design, and then you price that, and then you build it. All of those categories of work are ongoing the whole time, all right? So the process actually looks a lot like this. You still got the situation, you've got to bring your marbles to the table, right? But you're going to have, I love making those scrolls. You're going to, you know, but you're going to have different forms of scrolls. You know, people are going to bring poems. They're going to bring, you know, movies that they want to show you that they've made. They're going to, and then when you do the design, you know, there's going to be that image, but then, you know, they think they've got a better image. We're architects, we're not trained to think that other people could have better images. So, you know, that's a problem to begin with, right? So there's another image, there's the blob image or something, right? I've seen a blob, I think they're cool, right? Okay. We can try that. You know, and then there's drawings that keep changing. Well, the deal is that there's just a massive amount of information grows up at each one of these stages, right? And in terms of the ideas that you might have in between here, those ideas pop up over here too. Same level of idea, and a fundamental design idea, which in the olden days would be, you know, in this area right here. Well, you can have them near the end of the project, and thankfully, because of the software, well, we can change it pretty easily. A lot more easily than erasing everything and going back to square one. We can digitally adapt the project pretty efficiently by comparison, okay? Now, what that means is that you're operating in a sense, in an environment, if I can get this pen thing going, in an environment of insight. You start, let me see if I can draw a person there. You start here, and you focus on where you want to go. And you do what you can do to fulfill that initial goal. But then, you get to this point where, for whatever reason, you get thrown off on a tangent. This is an individual experience, which then ricochets in another direction sometimes. And there are other people working on this, so everybody's having this experience, right? Well, then everybody sort of, they catch their breath, and somehow you all get on back on track. But every individual is going through this. As you get closer to the actual completion of the design, closer to the construction, you know, this zigzag declines, right? Till eventually you've got a stable solution that, you know, everybody coming from that direction with the same kind of path and that direction coming from the same kind of path pretty much understands, appreciates, agrees upon, right? So whereas once upon a time Daddy would have said, look, I got this information here and we're going to build this thing right here and we don't need more information. This is it. It looks like this. It's a tube. We're going from there. We're now dealing with a situation that looks like, with information, it looks like this. And everybody's involved. There's a massive amount of information going down that spiral. And what that looks like, when you look at it, and it might be a little weird, is look at it, rotate that spiral, and what you're looking at is this, right? With your objective happy ending right there. And you are actually following a bunch of insight moments, decision points you might call them, but moments in which you don't just have another theory of the building, you actually begin to experience the building as a reality that will change your reality, right? You follow these to the center, and again, it's not just a spiral in a linear spiral sense. I mean, they're ricocheting off each other at different times, but the shape is, you know, relentlessly in that direction because everybody wants to get there. Because the point I want to make is just how similar that is to the experience of someone sitting on a cushion in a Zendo. Literally, there you are, right? And the idea is to set out in this direction, and as I'll bet you did when you were breathing, got distracted, right? Didn't follow or commit to that idea, but experienced it, all right? And that might have led to another idea. But then you gently brought your attention back to this idea of being here, just breathing, all right? And again, over a retreat of, you know, several days or a week, you'll eventually, just like an architectural project, you'll eventually settle in to a place that is pretty much a matter of simply being there and being present. Thank you. That means that I'm going to leave something out because I've got a limited amount of time here. I want to talk about raking. I want to talk about, let's see if I got pictures here. I'm talking about these gardens. Now the raked garden, the gravel garden, is a kind of landscape that is strongly associated with Zen. A lot of people look at it as an aesthetic outcome, something that, you know, one would aim at. As a practical matter, though, raking has to do with having a certain kind of goal in mind. All right, it's having in mind, you know, an environment in which to respond to. It's undertaking that goal by reflective action, and by that I mean, you know, you're going to have to take into account all of the conditions and aspects of the site that bear upon it. Talking about the color, the material, the light, the shape of it. To do this, you have to walk around. You have to go